Scared to go die. Couple of them thinking they'll be living in the sky. While I'm here living, man, I gotta ask why. What am I here for? I gotta figure out. Waste my life, no, I gotta make it count.
Chapter 4. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, record the names of the members of the clans and families of the Kohath division for the tribe of Levi. This lists all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who are eligible to serve in the tabernacle. The duties of the Kohathites in the tabernacle will relate to the most sacred objects when the camp moves. Aaron and his sons must enter the tabernacle first to take down the inner curtain and cover the Ark of the Covenant with it. Then they must cover the inner curtain with fine goat skin leather and spread over that a single piece of blue cloth. Finally, they must put the carrying poles of the ark in place. Next, they must spread a blue cloth over the table where the bread and the presence is displayed, and on the cloth they will place the bowls, pans, jars, pitchers, and the special bread. They must spread a scarlet cloth around or over all of this. Then finally, a covering of fine goat skin leather on top of the scarlet cloth. Then they must insert the carrying poles into the tabernacle. Next, they must cover the lampstand with a blue cloth, among with its lamps, snuffers, trays, and special jars of olive oil. Then they must cover the lampstand and its accessories with fine goatskin leather and place the bundle on a carrying frame. Next, they must spread a blue cloth over the gold incense altar and cover its cloth with fine goatskin leather. Then they attach the carrying poles to the altar. They must take all the remaining furnishings of the sanctuary and wrap them in a blue cloth. Cover them with fine goatskin leather and place them on the carrying frame. They must remove the ashes from the altar for sacrifices and cover the altar with a purple cloth. All the altar utensils and the fire pans, meat forks, shovels, basins, and all the containers must be packed on the cloth, and a covering of fine goatskin leather must be spread over them. Finally, they must put the carrying poles in place. The camp will be ready to move when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and the sacred articles. The Kohathites will come and carry these things to the next destination, They must not touch the sacred objects or they will die. So these are the things from the tabernacle that the Kohathites must carry. Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, will be responsible for the oil of the lampstand, the fragrant incense, the daily grain offerings, and the anointing oil. In fact, Eleazar will be responsible for the entire tabernacle and everything in it, including the sanctuary and its furnishings. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, do not let the Kohathite clans be destroyed from among the Levites. This is what you must do so they will live and not die when they approach the most sacred objects. Aaron and his sons must always go in with them and assign a specific duty or load to each person. The Kohathites must never enter the sanctuary to look at the sacred objects for even a moment, or they will die. And the Lord said to Moses, record the names of the members of the clans and families of the Gerosite division of the tribe of Levi. List all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who are eligible to serve in the tabernacle. These Gershonite clans will be responsible for general services and carrying loads. They must carry the curtains of the tabernacle itself and its coverings, the outer covering of the fine goatskin leather, and the curtain for the tabernacle entrance. They are also to carry the curtains for the courtyard walls that surround the tabernacle and altar, the curtain across the courtyard entrance, the ropes, and all the equipment related to their use. The Gershonites are responsible for all these items. Aaron and his sons will direct the Gershonites regarding all their duties, wherever it involves moving the equipment or doing other work. They must assign the Gershonites responsibility for the loads they are carrying, so these are the duties assigned to the Gershonite clans at the tabernacle. They will be directly responsible for Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. Now, record the names of the members of the clans and families of the Merarites division for the tribe of Levi. List all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who are eligible to serve in the tabernacle. Their on duty at the tabernacle will be their only duty at the tabernacle will be to carry loads. They will carry the frames of the tabernacle, the crossbars, and the posts and bases. Also the posts for the courtyard walls, which are with their bases, pegs, and ropes, and all the accessories and everything else related to their use. Assign the various loads of each man by name. So these are the duties of the Merarite clans of the tabernacle. They are just directly responsible to Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. So Moses, Aaron, and the other leaders of the community of Israel list the members of the Kohathites division by their clans and families. The list included all the men between 30 and 50 years old of age who were eligible for service of the tabernacle, and the total number became 2,750. So that was the total of all those from Kohathite clans who were eligible to serve the tabernacle. Moses and Aaron listed them, just as the Lord had commanded through Moses. The Gershonite division was also listed by its clans and families. The list included all the men between 30 and 50 years old of age who were eligible to serve or for service in the tabernacle, and the total number came to 2,630. So this was the total of all those of the Gershonite clans who were eligible to serve at the tabernacle. Moses and Aaron listed them just as the Lord had commanded. The Merarite division was also listed by its clans and families. The list included all the men between 30 and 50 years old of age who were eligible for service in the tabernacle, and the total number came to 3,200. So this was the total of all those from the Merarite clans who were eligible for service. Moses and Aaron listed them just as the Lord had commanded through Moses. So Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of Israel listed all the Levites by their clans and families, all the men between 30 and 50 years of age who were eligible for service in the tabernacle, and for its transportation number 8,000. Transportation numbered 8,580. When their names were recorded as the Lord had commanded through Moses, each man was assigned his task and told what to carry. And so the regulation was complete, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Chapter 5. The Lord gave these instructions to Moses: command the people of Israel to remove from the camp anyone who has a skin disease or a discharge, or who has become ceremonially unclean by touching a dead person. This command applies to the men and women alike. Remove them so they will not defile the camp in which I live among them. So the Israelites did as the Lord had commanded Moses, and removed such people from the camp. Then the Lord said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If any of the people, men or women, betray the Lord by doing wrong to another person, they are guilty. They must confess their sin and make a full restitution for what they have done, adding an additional 20% and returning it to the person who was wronged. But if the person who was wronged is dead, and there is no near relatives whom restitution can be made, the payment belongs to the Lord and must be given to the priest. Those who are guilty must also bring a ram as a sacrifice, and they will be purified and made right with the Lord. All the sacred offerings that the Israelites bring to the priest will belong to him. Each priest may keep all the sacred donations that he receives. And the Lord said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Suppose a man's wife goes astray, and she is unfaithful to her husband and has sex with another man, but neither her husband nor anyone else knows about it. She has defiled herself, even though there was no witness and she was not caught in the act. If her husband becomes jealous and is suspicious of his wife and needs to know whether or not she has defiled herself, the husband must bring his wife to the priest. He may also bring an offering of 2 quarts of barley flour to be presented on her behalf. Do not mix it with olive oil or frankincense, for it is a jealousy offering, an offering to prove whether or not she is guilty. The priest will then present her to stand trial before the Lord. He must take some holy water in a clay jar and pour it into the dust he has taken from the tabernacle floor. When the priest has presented the woman before the Lord, he must unbind her hair and place her hands on the offering of proof, the jealousy of offering, to determine whether her husband's suspicions are justified. The priest will stand before her, holding the jar of bitter water that brings a curse to those who are guilty. The priest will then put the woman under oath and say to her, if no other man has had sex with you and you have not gone astray and defiled yourself while under your husband's authority, you may be immune from the effects of this bitter water that brings on the curse. But if you have gone astray and have gone astray by being unfaithful to your husband and have defiled yourself by having sex with another man, at this point the priest must put the woman under oath by saying, may the people know that the Lord's curse is upon you when he makes you infertile. Sorry, I lost my pace. May the people know when he makes you infertile, causing your womb to shrivel and your abdomen to swell. Abdomen. Wow. Okay, sorry. And your abdomen to swell. Now may this water that brings the curse enter your body and cause your abdomen to swell or your womb to shrivel. And the woman will be required to say, yes, let it be so. And the priest will write these curses on a piece of paper or a piece of leather and wash them off into the bitter water. He will make the woman drink the bitter water that brings on the curse. When the water enters her body, it will cause bitter suffering if she is guilty. The priest will take the jealousy offering from the woman's hand, lift it up before the Lord, and carry it into the altar. He will take a handful of the flour as a token portion and burn it on the altar, and he will require the woman to drink the water. If she has defiled herself by being unfaithful to her husband, the water that brings on the curse will cause bitter suffering. Her abdomen will swell and her womb will shrink, and her name will become a curse among her people. But if she has not defiled herself and is pure, then she will be unharmed and will still be able to have children. This is the ritual law for dealing with suspicion of a woman if a woman goes astray and defiles herself under her husband's authority, or if a man becomes jealous and is suspicious that his wife has been unfaithful, and the husband may present his wife before the Lord, and the priest will apply the entire ritual law to her. The husband will be innocent if any guilty in this matter be his wife will be held accountable for her sin. Okay, guys, so that was our reading. It was about 6 minutes. It was pretty quick. I was just doing 2 chapters today. So I've kind of just been looking. Chapter 7 looks really long. It's like 3 pages. I want to see how many pages or chapters are in Numbers. Looks like there's about 28. There's 36 actually. So there's 36, and this is the second day of reading it, and we're on the 6th chapter. So if we do 6 chapters every 2 days, we should get there in about, I'm thinking 12 days. If I do 6 into, and then 6 times 6 is 32, so that, yeah, about 12 days. And then depending on how long the chapters are will depend on how much we read. So chapter 5, we read chapter 4 and 5. So chapter 4 was talking about the different, the different clans and the different clans of Levites, and basically what they are doing and what their purpose is as far as carrying the tabernacle, or what pieces of the tabernacle they use. So, for instance, the Kohathite clan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, their duties was the most sacred objects. So basically, they couldn't touch them, but Abraham and the priests could touch them, and they would wrap them up in clothing so that the Kohathites, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, if they are actually, or so they can actually hold them and carry the weight like they're supposed to. If you look on the picture, I have another picture of the camp setup that you can see with all the different tribes. So the Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Naphtali, and all the other ones. I don't think it shows the Levite clans, but it might. I don't know if it shows the ones that are guarding basically the tabernacle. But yeah, so chapter 4 was a lot about that, and I just wanted to say, so in all the number of people that were 30 to 50, I believe, the men 30 to 50 years old who were eligible for service of the tabernacle, and that were carrying it, and as it's moving, the ones that are actually holding it and things like that, there was 850 or 8,580 of them. So that's a lot of people for the tabernacle. But I'm guessing the tabernacle was pretty big because it took thousands of pounds of silver, bronze, and gold. So I'm guessing it was pretty heavy. And so 8,580 people sounds like a pretty good amount to hold it. Especially if they're going on a long journey. I'm thinking maybe 1,000 to 2,000 miles walking or on horseback. Maybe not horseback, but like donkeys. So I think that's pretty good that there's a lot of them there. And so when it says that they're eligible for service, I'm thinking they can't be crippled. They have to be right standing with God and things like that. Kind of like how you'd fill out a resume for a job. You have to put in your resume, and they have to see if you're eligible for the job. So I think that's the exact same way that it was kind of like that. And still, 8,000 people, that's a pretty good, I guess you could say, unemployment rate. I don't think it would be an unemployment rate, but thinking about that, just, I don't know how many people total there were in the Levite clans, but that seems like a pretty good amount, to about around 2,000 to 3,000 each clan, or you could say section, or what is it called? The clans and families of the Merite clan, the Geroshite clan, and the Kohath clan. So out of those 3 clans, yeah, there's about 2 to 3,000, which is pretty good. So, and then I wanted to talk about again in chapter 5, that was a lot about if a man was suspicious about his wife committing adultery, basically, there was a way that they could purify, or not purify, they could it was kind of like the lie detector for that type of situation, and they'd basically just test your wife, and if she drank a certain water, and if it swelled up her abdomen and did all the effects, then she was guilty, and if it didn't, then she wasn't. I don't know how the woman would feel if she wasn't guilty and the man tested her. I don't know. And then it was also talking about the purity of the camps, like taking away all the skin diseased people, all the probably the cripples too, and anyone who's basically unclean. You have to take them away from the camp because God's going to be basically living with you. So you have to make that camp as pure as you can. So that was pretty quick. Again, that was like 5 or so minutes. So hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.
Thinking of me living in the sky. While I'm here living, man, I gotta ask why. What am I here for? I gotta figure out. Waste my life, no, I gotta make it count. If Christ is real, then what am I gonna do about it?